everybody, it's Sheila with Designs of Babymoon, and today I want to show you how to stitch up these adorable mason jar charms. These are so great. You can use them as a little key fob or as a bag tag or even as a gift tag, or you can even use it as a tag for when you're giving something cute that's made in a mason jar. So let's flip the camera around. Let me show you my machine and I'll walk you through all the steps that you need to make some cute mason jar tags. All right, let's flip this around and get started. Okay, we're here at my embroidery machine, and what I have is I have my 4x4 hoop with clear vinyl in it. This vinyl you can get on the roll at any craft or hobby store. It's clear vinyl. It's used for covering tables or furniture or clothes. It's just clear vinyl. You want something that's a little bit thicker. You can see this isn't very floppy. It's kind of standing up on its own. If you have access to the gauge of the vinyl, you want to get something that's like a 12 gauge or something nice and thick. You don't want something that's floppy like shower curtain material. It needs to have some body on its own. Now, I have already stitched the first step of these designs. This is the mason jars tag, and it has some background. It has some other details that go in it. These are the shadows and the design for the little lid area, the screw-on jar part. There's two separate kinds of jars in this. One is this kind of a jar that has a screw-on lid, and there's another design in the same set that's for this kind of a jar with a little it's a Weck style jar. It has this little latch on it. There's this design just like that kind of jar in the file set as well for this one. So you can make either kind of jar, whichever one you like best. The key in this design and in all of the clear vinyl designs is to really match your bobbin thread to the top. So I have gray bobbin thread in the top, and I also have a gray bobbin. It doesn't have to be an exact match, but you should make it kind of close. If you were going to stitch with a dark thread up here and you'd have a white bobbin, you know how the way the embroidery machine works is it pulls some of the top thread around to the back. That's normal. That's a correctly balanced tension. And when the colors are too different, because this design is clear and we do see both sides of the design, if you have something that doesn't match in the top, you'll be able to see it. It'll be very obvious. And we want this to be, kind of a simple and easy and at the kind of project where people say, how did you do that? So anyway, so let's match our bobbin threads to the top. The other thing that's really crucial in this design is that you trim any thread tails off. Now, my machine, this is a Baby Lock Flourish. It does cut my jump stitches for me, which I love. It cuts the thread at the beginning and the end and everywhere in between. But there are always, no matter how many jump stitches or how your machine is, how fancy it is, you're always going to have tails. So what you need to do is you need to make sure you trim your tails between every step, especially at the end, because we're going to be adding some layers of vinyl and we don't want any of these thread tails caught in the middle. So I'm simply taking my snips and I'm working on the back of the hoop and I'm trimming off any of those little thread tails. I'm just snipping them off. Any place where I see where up here the machine kind of ran over the thread where it started, so I'm going to pull that out just so it's not in there at all, because this is kind of sketchy. It's a light fill so that it doesn't warp the material. And then I'm going to make sure I just have all of those little bits trimmed off of there, off of the back. Okay, that looks nice and clean. There's a little spot on the front here I need to pay attention to. So I'm going to get that one snipped off. And that, for the most part, there's a little bit right here. For the most part, though, this looks really good, and I feel, there we go, just a little piece caught in there. I feel like we're ready for the next step. The next step is going to be some detail for the top of the jar. Now, I've already got gray thread loaded in the machine, and over here it tells me in the field that the little line parts for the top of the jar are next. And so I'm going to simply run those with the same color. You can pick a different color, it's okay, but I'm just going to run the second color. It gives it a little bit of a texture. It's not really a big deal, but if you really want it to be different, you can totally swap out your threads. Okay, this file is pretty quick. It's nice and easy, and we're actually almost done. We've done the first 2 steps. I'm gonna take my hoop off, and I'm going to trim any tails that I can see from the back side and off the front, because I don't want any of these thread tails to be caught in the layers that we're going to be adding. We're going to be adding a piece of vinyl on the very back of the hoop and on the front of the hoop. You don't need any stabilizer with this project. You're just using the clear vinyl to stitch on in the first place. So the vinyl is its own stabilizer. So you're not hooping anything else. You're only hooping the clear vinyl. And then we're going to add 2 more layers of vinyl, one on the back and one on the front to completely cover the stitches. Okay, I have all of the thread tails trimmed, and you can see how that made some nice little jar lid details on there. Kind of. Okay, the next step is actually the step that is going to finish the jar, but we need to do some work in here first. I'm going to put some things in the jar, and what I'm going to do is gather those, but I'm going to use some blue. This is kind of it's a blue holographic vinyl from my Embroidery. She also has a plain blue tinted vinyl, and it's clear. And so it works just like regular vinyl, but I'm going to cut a little piece that's just going to cover where the design is. It's a little bit bigger than what I need, but you can actually see this a little bit better than the regular clear. I'm just going to slip that behind the design so that it's completely covering the area that's already stitched with a little bit extra, because it's going to go a little bit around that, and then we're going to have a place for the eyelet. If you need an actual size template, in the file set is a PDF called it's called a color map. It ends with the words color map. And that is a stitch map or a stitch order chart, or some people call them a stitch map or a production worksheet. What it is, basically, it has 2 things. It has a full-size template that you can cut out and then see exactly on your hoop how big it is and how big the pieces that you need to be are. Or you can, run a sample on, run the whole way through on stabilizer so that you have an actual printout. The color chart also has the color changes, so it will walk you through step by step what's going to stitch in what order. So the color map that I provide in these files, I find is a really useful tool, especially if you're new to making a design and you don't know exactly how it goes. Print that out or look at it on your mobile device when you get the file. And just try working with it from that way. Okay, what I'm going to put in this design is I have some confetti that I've gotten from Hobby Lobby. Just all kinds of confetti. Lots of little designs. These are some chili peppers. So this one is the one I wanted to use. It's kind of a fiesta theme, and it's got all kinds of hats and maracas and chili peppers. I wanted to get some chili peppers out and make a jar of chili peppers. So let's find some chili peppers in this pile of confetti here. And I'm just going to place the confetti on the jar, but within the limits of the shadows that I've already stitched. So as long as it's inside this line, your confetti or buttons or whatever you're going to put in here will be fine. I like using confetti. It's thin, but of course you can definitely use buttons if you need to. Here's another chili pepper. And I'm just going to get as many chili peppers as I can find really quickly just to get them in there for you. And it's kind of fun to go through and see what kind of pieces they combined. But there's another chili pepper, and they're in this set, they're orange and green and red. And so we're just going to put all of the chilies that we can find. Here's another red one. I'm going to put that one in there. Lots of hats, lots of maracas. Here's another green chili. This is Peter Piper's jar of pickled peppers. Here's a light green pepper. That's probably like a banana pepper. Whoops. Nope, that is a mustache. I don't want a mustache in there. Not in this jar of chilies. No, sir. Thank you. Here's a light green one. Let's see. Here's another light green one. That's quite a few. Let's see if we can find one more. Here's an orange one. Let's get that orange one in there just for fun. Okay. And we'll just set those aside. So these chili pepper confettis are now inside the border of the jar. On the top, I have the bottom layer that I just slid under the hoop. You can take it off and tape it down if you need to. I didn't. I simply slid it under there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of the vinyl that I have from this, piece that I've got, and I'm going to cut off a piece that I know will cover up the area on the top. You could prepare ahead of time and cut a piece based on that template from the color map, or you can just kind of wing it like I do. But I have this piece of clear vinyl here. It is hard to see, so trust me, I've got a piece of clear vinyl here. It's just invisible. And I'm going to lay it over the top, and I am completely covering up that confetti that we put in. Now, one thing I am making sure to do is I am making sure that that confetti or buttons or beads or whatever you put there stays within the limits of this little shadow that I've already stitched, because our outer step is going to go all around those, but it's not going to stitch any inside. So as long as your confetti or your beads or your button is inside that area and your presser foot doesn't push it out of the way, you should be okay. Now, the nice thing about using the clear vinyl is it kind of sticks to itself, especially if you live in a humid environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run the machine, but I'm going to watch carefully and make sure that my presser foot isn't pushing these out so that they'll get caught. I don't want them to get caught by the presser foot. So let's just watch it go carefully. You can slow down your machine if you need to. And you can already see, did you see how this one bounced out of the way? So I'm simply going to lift up my vinyl and push him back in there and make sure he stays there. And start it again. And like I said, if you need to slow down your machine for this part, that's totally fine. Okay, there's our chilies in the jar. Now it stitched that down really quick, and it's going to finish the stitch with a nice final finishing stitch, so it's going to go back around again to give it extra strength right there. Our chilies are all secure in their jar now. All right. The last step that this design is going to do is a little string or a little tie for the top of the jar. And, based on whatever you put in it, you could make it super colorful. You can make it look like burlap or ribbon. I'm going to use some brown thread for the top. And I am going to make sure that I thread it on the top. And then I'm going to choose a matching bobbin and make that bobbin match the top. So let's do that. Let's take our machine off, our hoop off the machine. Now I don't need to trim any threads at this point. I can wait till I'm done, or you can do them now because we want to get in the habit. But look, that's our stitch out completely done. And you can see it there. It's so neat. Now I didn't use this blue layer all the way through because if I use the blue layer on top, it would change the color of my chili peppers and they wouldn't be fun. But just using the blue or whatever color on the back, the very back layer, gives it a really cool effect. Okay, let's see. Let's trim those threads off the back because I said we were going to. And so I'm going to do what I say. Make sure there's nothing to get tangled back there. Everything's out of the way. Some thread from another project creeping up on me. I'm going to change my bobbin thread and make it brown to match. This nifty box of pre-wound bobbins in all different colors. So I'm just going to get one that's close. It doesn't have to be an exact match, but close enough so that it's not obvious that the back and top threads are different. Put my hoop back on the machine, lock it in place, and run that last step, which is a little brown ribbon for me, a little piece of brown burlap. Really is a very fast project to stitch. It only has 1488 stitches. My machine says it's a 3-minute stitch out, but of course, because we're working on the machine, we're working on the hoop, it does take a little bit more time. Okay, so we're done with the stitching of the little bow, and it's all done here. down there so you can see it in the light. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove it from the hoop. Before I remove it, I'm going to trim off the threads because they're easier to trim off while the hoop is still, the fabric is still hooped. So let's pull those out of the way. Just trim those off. Okay, that's it. That's the back side. This is the front side. And then I'm going to pop it out of the hoop. So this clear stabilizer, it's a little bit thicker, so you may have to work your hoop on there a little bit. And let's back this up so you can see a little bit better. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to cut around the outline of the jar with my scissors. And I've got my little, you know, just little scissors. Don't need anything fancy. This stuff cuts quite easily. And I'm leaving a little border around it because I don't want it cut too close to my stitching. But you can get closer than you think. I'm just making nice, long, smooth cuts. And there we are. Now all that's left to do is to punch a hole in this part. And I will use my crocodile and punch a hole, and just to both punch the hole and set an eyelet in that placement area, and then add a key tag. So let me do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, I've got my crocodile big bite, and I'm simply going to use the punching part to punch a large hole, and put my tag right under the hole, line it up, and give that a little punch. Crocodile makes it so easy to both punch a hole and to set the eyelet. And then I'm going to switch the setting on my crocodile to the eyelet setting, and the crocodile will tell you how you need to turn these squares to get the eyelet setting function on. But I'm simply going to put this eyelet through the hole here. These are just standard sewing eyelets, and you can put them in with a crocodile, or you can use an eyelet setting tool or a pair of pliers. I tend to like using my crocodile just because the size of it and the way it's constructed just gives it a little bit of extra squeezy power. It makes it really easy to do, and I don't have to do a lot of work. So I'm going to put the back on this eyelet. This kit that I got has these little backs, which makes it really nice because they really give it a nice finish. But you don't have to add an eyelet or a grommet at all. You can just leave it blank. And then I'm going to use my crocodile again on that eyelet that I've set, and then give it a squeeze. And my eyelet's now set in there just perfectly. There's the back. There's a few little threads to trim up, but I'll get those in a minute. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a key ring, and I'm going to use this jump ring opener to open this jump ring. This is simply a little set of pliers with a little tooth on it, so I don't have to use my fingernails or scissors or teeth. Heavens no. So I'm just going to use that jump ring opener to open the jump ring, set it inside that hole, and then while the ring is open at the top here, I'm just going to slip on a tassel that I've already threaded a split ring onto as well. And there, extra cuteness. So now our tag is done. There's our chili pepper tag, our jar of chili peppers. We've got chili peppers in there. They do move around, so that's fun. You can add more. I just added a few because we're started, but that would look super cute with a lot of chili peppers in there. Of course, you can put anything else in there. You can put buttons. You could put hearts or snaps, or has some cute flower buttons in it. And so there's lots of different ways that you can go with these jars, but enjoy that. Try them out, have fun, and see what you think. And if you like them, there are more clear designs at the Designs by Babymoon website. There are designs for itty bitty jars that are earrings, which are super cute, as well as things like beer mugs. I started to say beer jars, beer mugs, and snow globes and fish bowls. So there's all kinds of cool things that you can do with clear vinyl. These little jar tags are just one of them. So go try them out and see what you think, and let me know. Thanks for watching.